We off in this place, catching vibes, sit back and we blaze in the sky like I'm out of space.
What's going on, Cigar World? What's going on, Cigar Enthusiasts? This is Jack, the Cigar Enthusiast, and we're back with another segment of the Virtual Smoke Deck. Man, I'm your host. I'm Jack, the Cigar Enthusiast, man. Thank y'all so much for tuning in on this Sunday. Major disappointments this week in football, man. I am highly upset with the performance of the Philadelphia Eagles versus them sorry ass 49ers, man. I'm just baffled by that. Not only that, but the kicker for Miami literally kicked nothing this entire day. Like, how does that even, like, you didn't even kick a goddamn trial field goal? Man, don't get me started, man. So clearly we lost on the game and we're losing in fantasy. So that's the story of my Sunday, man. If you're new to the channel, man, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, give us a huge thumbs up. If you're watching on Facebook, don't be the only one to have this amazing content at your fingertips. Go ahead and hit that watch party and go ahead and, get that out there to as many people as we possibly can. Man, today we have a special guest in the building doing some great things. Jacksonville native. Man, my brother Cy from Ireland is in the building. What's up, my brother? What you smoking on today for this segment? So we have a lot of people, this guy is just doing his damn thing. A lot of people are trying his whiskey. A lot of people are excited about it. It's in some clubs. It's in some restaurants. It's in, you name it, he is moving. But I'm not going to steal his shine and his spotlight because that is what he is on here for. He is going to talk about all of that good stuff. If you're new, man, make sure y'all go ahead and smash in them comment boxes and, tell us what's up. Tell us, hey, tell us who's watching. Tell us where you're watching from. I don't care what you do. Get into the comment box and show us some love so we know that you're here listening with us. Man, tonight, again, we got a action-packed show coming up. A couple things I want to hit on in the beginning versus the end, as I always do. He is not a cigar manufacturer, so I can do this. So this is Ashton month at the Cigar Lounge, 725 Skymarsh Drive. So what that means to you is it's 20% off all Ashton boxes, and you get raffle tickets for a chance to win some amazing prizes. That happens on the 29th. And we also have our cigar training going on on the 29th as well, from 6 to 7 with Bowtie Ortega. The Ashton rep is going to be putting down some major stuff for us. So I'm not going to kill you guys with all the great things that we have going on, man. It's time to get our guests onto the show so we can talk everything whiskey. And I'm going to actually light up the crown heads. Now y'all gonna judge me for this. Le Patizer. It sounds like French or something. Maybe we'll get John on here for him to help us, figure out and unpack that name. But man, I'm not gonna hold you guys up. Without further ado, our guest of the hour, coming from Jacksonville, FAMU graduate, is a great brother doing some big things. Located here in Jacksonville. Coming to the stage, we have Darren Eakins with DuBlase whiskey. What's up, my guy?
What's going on, Jack? Thank you. Great introduction. I like that.
I know, a great introduction. Then you came on. What's up, Jack? What's up?
Hey,
what's up, my guy?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today? Sunday.
Man, it's Sunday. We got to watch football again for the second week. Got to see it. Stadiums action-packed. Ready to go. So, I must say that was probably a good Sunday.
Yeah, it's been a good Sunday. I couldn't complain too much. Watching football myself. Jaguars lost them, unfortunately, but
unfortunately,
we'll see.
Come on, we're at this point where it's repetition now.
Hey,
we go on the football field, you lose.
Yep, gotta give some time. We'll see how they do. Give some time. We'll give them some time. We had some good moments.
Hey, y'all had some fantastic moments, but not enough to win the football game, just like the Philadelphia Eagles. So it is what it is, right?
Absolutely.
Hey, Man, my man Sweeney is excuse me, Sweeney. I'm thinking of something else. Sai is over there smoking a Perdomo Habano Sun Grown.
Okay.
What's up, David? Hey man, Dave, I need to see pictures of the barn, man. I've seen glimpses of it. I need like a full-blown picture of it, inside and outside of it, sent to my inbox, man, so I can see that, man. And then you said that last comment, and now we're like, well, forget everything. You're a freaking Patriots fan, so you don't even have no room to talk. But hey, Darren, man, for everybody that don't know you, man, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and tell us a little bit about DuBlase.
Okay, sure. So, native of Jacksonville. My father was in the military, so that's how we got to Jacksonville. He was stationed in NAS Jax. Grew up here, of course. Went on to graduate at the School of the Arts, Douglas Anderson. And from there, I went on to FAMU, where I majored in engineering, graduated, came back, started working in engineering, been there since. So about 10 years strong, started the whiskey. We just launched this past May. We're doing amazing right now. We're doing amazing.
Good. So what inspired you? Obviously, this is like the question of everybody's podcast, and then we're gonna move on from this very quickly because we don't do typical stuff here. So what inspired you to go ahead and get into the whiskey business? Well,
it's kind of an interesting, way. So my uncle makes wine in Cincinnati, Ohio. So he kind of got me introduced to the spirits industry. Recipe creation, how different ingredients pair together. Naturally, whiskey is my spirit of choice. So I went on and to create, based off of some of his guidance, to create my own whiskey. So he was probably the catalyst to jumpstart the whole entire idea. Yep.
Yeah. So, whiskey is like something that is iconic in cigars, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I tell people all the time, they try to come up here with these unimaginable combinations of drinks to go with their cigar, and I honestly tell them it's nothing that goes wrong with whatever you choose. It's based on really your preference. So based on understanding cigars, the little bit that you do understand, what kind of cigar do you think will go great with DuBlase? And why should people pick DuBlase?
Well, so it's based on your palate. So, if you're a mild, you enjoy a mild cigar, DuBlase will be perfect for you. So it's a sweet corn base. We have a hint of vanilla, 70 proof. So it's a smooth, very, very smooth whiskey. You don't have to worry about any it's smooth going down, no film over your tongue. So it pairs well with, pretty much any mild, medium cigar. I'm still waiting to get a little bit of feedback from those who enjoy a little bit more fuller type cigar. So just waiting to hear some more feedback on them. But so far, the medium, the mild cigars, perfect.
I think this is a great question. We're going to come back to it though here in a second, David. I want to unpack that statement that you just said. So I have a couple bottles of DuBlase at the house, and obviously my goal is to blend the perfect cigar to go with the perfect drink. And Darren was absolutely right. I think it goes great with a mild cigar. I would say maybe like the Habano, Perdomo Habano that Sai is smoking on, I think would be a great one. I think the Monte Cristo White Series would be an absolute one. One thing about the whiskey, one thing about the whiskey that I did notice and that he spoke about, and we're going to actually dive deeper into that, is the vanilla taste afterwards, right? It has a nice lingering vanilla taste that is enjoyed after the consumption of the whiskey. I would say that hands down though, on a more of a full body, I think the pepper would knock that straight off and kind of make a well-rounded and palate experience, right?
Okay.
And palate experience is everything that we try to focus on here in cigars, right? So I know some of my cigar enthusiasts on here will be able to definitely agree with that. At the end of the day, we don't want our drinks to overpower our smoke, and we don't want our smoke to overpower our drink. It's just the nature of that beast. So
nice,
absolutely. So speaking of that vanilla, like what was the thought process when you said, I'm going to put a hint of vanilla and kind of make it stick out the way it does stick out?
Well, sure. So with myself, just how I enjoy my whiskey. I try not to mix it too much, but I like it a little a hint sweet, right? So when you're aging it, of course you're going to get those bitter notes. You're going to get that oak, you're going to get that wood flavor. So with me, I wanted to find a natural sweetener. So some, use maple, some use all different types of sweeteners just to kind of take some of that bite off the oak. So with me, I chose a vanilla base. We also have other natural ingredients in there to kind of give it a natural spice, but the vanilla is, like you said, you'll recognize it right off the bat. That's the main reason I went with vanilla. It's super smooth. It doesn't come off syrupy, or it doesn't give you that girth if you're drinking syrup or something like that.
Yeah,
super smooth. Yep. Yeah. The consistency it comes out smooth. Yep.
And so you hit on something that I think we're going to tie this into David's question, but you hit on something that is very, interesting, right? I don't think we all understand the whiskey aging process. So you said, the longer it's aged, the more bitterness it has. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So mine is a whiskey. It's not a bourbon, right? So bourbon is naturally going to be 3 years or more. So whiskey, you can come out straight out of the barrel to filtering, bottling and such. So with me, I try to age in between a year or two, just to kind of give it just that strong girth. And so for me, the longer you age it, the more the girth is going to be there, the darker it'll probably be. It just really depends on your aging process, and then your ingredients and how you filter. So you can do chill filter that may take out some of your flavor. There's a bunch of different processes you can do to give you your girth, but the aging is more so for your bourbons, which we aren't.
Yeah. So tell me, this is something I've been always wondering, and I did some research on it. I'm not going to share my wealth of knowledge that I have. What makes a whiskey different from a bourbon?
So bourbon is just it's a whiskey, but with a little bit more rules. So it's got to be 80% corn. It's got to be aged a certain amount of years, and it has to have other small ingredients that have to be aligned with the bourbon. So it's a simple difference. All bourbon comes from the whiskey.
Got it. So it goes whiskey and then bourbon, and all the other things.
Yeah.
So David said, curious, what's the shelf life for a broken seal, open bottle of whiskey or bourbon?
That's a good question. I mean, it depends. It depends for a typical whiskey. I won't speak on other guys. I don't want to go to them, but
absolutely.
Our shelf life, let's see. I would say about a good 2-3 months. Good 2-3 months. Yep.
So I guess that rolls into another question. So what happens? What changes after that 2 or 3 months after it's been broken?
Well, since ours is flavored, right? So ours we added extra flavor to it. So it's not just whiskey straight out. It's a vanilla whiskey, right? So typically when you add flavor, I mean, it's almost in any drink. So taking your natural apple juice, right? So you can buy a brand new apple juice from your grocery store. If it's a natural base flavor, you can put it in your refrigerator. You can open it. And then by 2 or 3 months, you'll start seeing some of the, you'll start seeing some of the sediment. And sometimes it's just a difference of the oils separating. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad or anything, but sometimes you start seeing separation between oils, different other sediments or natural ingredients that go into it. Some use natural based ingredients, some use synthetic. So it just really depends on, what all is in it to give you that shelf life.
So do you ever foresee, the vanilla base that you have kind of created with this initial go around? Do you feel like you'll go into something that is a more of a, I guess, natural whiskey taste?
Yeah. So
makes sense?
Yeah. Now I'm with you. So what we're actually doing, our next one will be, we're doing a 90 proof, which will be they'll have a vanilla, but it won't have as much. So of course the government, they do all the regulations. So, the more flavor you have into it, the less proof it can be, right? The less percentage of alcohol it can be, just because they want it safe for all the consumers. Because if it's good and it's going down smooth, they don't want to get you sick or anything like that. So we're doing a 90 proof. And I feel like that'll be great for, some of your more full body cigars. Yep.
So that is everything, right?
Yep.
So obviously, I think have a lot of us connoisseurs, we look at flavored whiskeys just like we look at flavored cigars. Now, there's nothing bad to them at all, but most of us don't prefer them, right?
Yeah.
But hands down, I think DuBlase more than anything has a nice subtle note of vanilla that is consistent. It doesn't take away from your bite, right? So if you are that guy that likes that bite on a whiskey, then you will like it. It's more of an Irish whiskey type of guy. So any type of Irish whiskey has a little bit more bite to them, right? They're a little bit, they're aged a lot longer than, as we would say, a year or two. So hands down, I think, if you're looking for something that is still consistent, but it's not overpowering, I don't want anybody to, for your sake, to take it as, the vanilla is, oh my God, it's overbearing. It's not. It's one of those that is, just kind of smooth sailing. What was like the thought process when obviously you like your whiskeys, something that you can drink straight up, something that you don't have to mix. But what was your thought process when you were coming up with the notes that goes into the complexity of your whiskey?
Well, I mean, we went through a plethora of, samples, tastings. I mean, it took us about 2 years to come up with our recipe. So with us, I mean, we literally crossed that threshold of having to be a vanilla whiskey. So just if I would have took back maybe 2% of the vanilla, we would have been able to make it the 80 proof. So with, I won't say unfortunately, but, because of the regulations, we had to go to the 70 proof. But me, I don't necessarily, I'm kind of with you. I don't necessarily like sweet, sugary, syrupy spirits. That's not my go-to. I like just a smooth beverage that I can drink neat on the rocks. I mean, if you like a cocktail, I enjoy old fashioned stuff like that. But for me, I'm a neat guy, or on the rocks. So I wanted something that I can have, but it had a little bit more sweetness to it where I can enjoy, and it's a little bit versatile. It can go with you can make it cocktails, you can make it any way. So I think for me, knowing I enjoy the vanilla, it's the most subtle for me. Some people add caramel, some people add maple. There's a lot of different ingredients that other companies use, and they make good product. But for me, I didn't want to be like put myself in that type of category. I wanted to be different. I want to be subtle, and it's almost a hint, of vanilla. So it's it doesn't come off. It has a great pour. The consistency is super smooth. The liquidity is perfect. It doesn't come out like a typical syrup or thick girth. It's a great blend.
Yeah. So one of the questions from Nicholas Taylor which is one of our bartenders here at Dapper D's. He said, where can he buy it? The link is down below. I got it scrolling. So that's absolutely like a wrap up question. So I just wanted to hit on that first. So, speaking of girth, right? what measures the girth, right? What when you're talking about the pour consistency and the liquidity, that probably does, that's probably not correct, right? That's not the correct terminology. Liquefaction, maybe.
We'll just go with liquid. We just know the liquid.
The liquid content.
There we go.
Yeah, whatever. Like what goes into that? What creates that? Because I mean, personally, I haven't never taken a bottle of whiskey and just be like, oh, it got a thicker pour. Like like
it does.
Like what is that? Went to the the whiskey connoisseur.
Okay, so when you distill any whiskey, it's going to come out like liquid, right? It's going to look like water. Anytime you distill it, it's going to look like water. From the distillation to the actual storage, which could be in barrels, could be in big tanks. Just depends on the distiller. That's when you start to get your girth. How long is it being aged? What else is going into it? Is there any other ingredients that's going into it? That's going to start giving your consistency. That's what's going to give it your girth, your thickness. So it's not the actual whiskey itself. It's the next step, which is everything else that goes into it when you start blending. Yeah.
So it is safe to say, the darker the whiskey, the longer it's aged.
You gotta be careful. So it could be. It could be. So it could be, but some people put, different ingredients that's going to darken it up. Some people use different types of barrels that will darken it up versus, a typical, the charred
a wood barrel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things that'll naturally just darken it up. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's thicker, but it just would depend on their particular blend.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Because at the end of the day, I always try to figure out, those things. So, a couple of things that you mentioned was, FDA and, the regulation of it going down. So in cigars, like one of our biggest fights, we have, cigar groups, cigar legislation groups that fight against, the FDA and all that. Cigar Rights for America. You have the PCA. You have a couple other organizations out there that is fighting for this. So is whiskey? I know flavored cigars is one of those things, and I know we kind of keep hitting on the flavor part, but I just want to kind of clarify that the whiskey is not really like a flavored cigar for my cigar guys.
Exactly.
So
good.
I know, the FDA is regulating, flavored cigars because they feel like flavored cigars, attracts the younger crowd. Right. One of our biggest fights has always been there's no 19-year-old that's going to try to go into a cigar lounge and be like, hey, I just want to smoke a cigar today and spend $20 on that steak. Like, it does not make sense to me. Yeah. But on the other end, on liquor side, it is something that has to be, heavily regulated because it is something that attracts the younger crowd to try. Like ours, it attracts the older crowd. It attracts a more mature crowd. For the whiskeys and liquors, any type of hints of anything kind of attracts them. So are y'all dealing with the same type of fight? And if so, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, with flavoring, it would just more so whether it's going to be your synthetic versus a natural. That's where they're going to get it. They're pretty strict on because then you have to send them their recipe and they have to test it themselves and try it. So it's no getting by. If they like it, if whoever was the chemist was testing it. And they tried it and they said, "Oh, this is really smooth. It goes down really, really smooth." We're going to put them at 70%. You can only be 70%. So 80% is what I was aiming for it. I was aiming for it, but unfortunately they made me drop it down. So I mean, but it's I don't necessarily to be politically correct. I'm thankful for it. Like I said, it's a blessing to be able to do it. But I mean, it's a smooth drink where they made me do it, but I have no complaints. No complaints.
Yeah. Good. So, looking at the blend part, if you can do it all over again, what would you change and why?
So this is something that you guys might actually find interesting. So natural versus synthetic, right? So when you have natural ingredients, you might see something like you could go to a grocery store again. We'll just take apple juice again, 100% natural ingredients, right? Processed stuff like that. So when you have natural ingredients, they're going to take your natural, whatever the ingredient is, they're going to grind it up. They're going to grind it up, just as you see like olive oil or they grind the actual thing, the seed in it, oil is going to come from it, right? So with natural products, you'll start to see sediment. You may see sediment in the bottle. You're going to filter it 3-4 times, but again, once the heat gets in through distribution, warehouse, once it starts to settle, you might see some sediment. It could be from the barrel. It could be from the ingredients, but you may see sediment. But then you have synthetic ingredients where you won't see any of the sediment, and of course, so it's really your preference. Like with cigars, you may want a more natural flavored versus a synthetic, but the synthetic will look better in a bottle. So it's just kind of interesting. So with that, I think I would do. I still love being all natural. That's just one thing I pride myself. Being in Florida, all of our ingredients are harvested, sourced, handcrafted, handpicked in Florida. So that's one thing I kind of pride myself on. But it was interesting to kind of get a little bit of feedback to see what people enjoy about it. And then just that natural to synthetic. I think that would be one thing I would look at a little bit more, just to see what people enjoy, and what people would be comfortable with.
Right. So it is safe to say, that some of the best whiskeys, bourbons that has been made in this world is come from the great state of Kentucky.
Tennessee.
Kentucky and Tennessee whiskey. All right. So, basing your concept of DuBlase, based on those whiskeys, what would you say is the major differential factor between those whiskeys and yours?
That's a good question. So, hats off to Kentucky, Tennessee. Kentucky being the mecca when it comes to bourbon. Of course, bourbon is American. Whiskeys, you get Irish. It came over. When they came over. When everybody came over. So it's bourbon is specific to the USA. So again, ode and hats off to Kentucky and Tennessee. But Florida, we love whiskey too, and ours is a little bit different because we use different products. Our corn is grown differently. We have spring water here. You can go to Wakulla Springs, it's not too far from Jacksonville, close to Tallahassee. We have natural spring water that is used for distillation. So just from the product itself, the ingredients itself, what goes into the whiskey is naturally different. So it's similar, it's very similar, but again, a potato grown in California would taste differently than a potato in Idaho or something like that. Just kind of the bear of the beast, but no, it's an ode to Kentucky for being the almost the forefathers of American whiskey, but we just do it a little bit different, and it's actually welcomed. It's welcomed.
So if I had to use my analogy, you use potatoes, I would use tobaccos, right? So you have the original tobacco was grown in Cuba. The reason for it is because, the climate as well as the soil was the perfect combination for what we now know as the Cuban cigar or Cuban tobacco, whatever the case may be. And then you move over to, other parts of the world like Nicaragua, Panama, Honduras, Dominican Republic. And we realize that we may not get a Cuban, but we can get something very damn close to it. If not better, right? I think, the volcanic soil of Nicaragua and, you know, the smooth, earthy, or soil of Dominican Republic and Honduras. I think those make up good complexes for different tobaccos to be grown, which again, alters the taste, right? If I use a Nicaraguan tobacco and I'm making a Dominican cigar, which means I got a Dominican wrapper, but Nicaraguan Ligero, Seco, Velado, or even Honduras Seco, or something of that nature. We're getting two different. We're getting a totally different cigar versus how it did it all Nicaraguan, all this, all of that. And the basis of me actually breaking that down was just kind of get the we're gonna get to that.
Hey, I love it.
So when you're looking at the premise of the growing, I think climate, soil, sunlight, water, the amount of natural water, the amount of things like the springs, which is coming out of the ground, is a lot different. Yeah,
it's vital. Even our sweeteners. So some companies, they might have to use sugar. Well, in Florida, we got sugar cane. Like we can do a different, present it in a different way. Again, it's not we're not saying we're going to do it better. We're just going to do it with what we have, and exactly. And it's been coming out great. It's been coming out great. Yeah.
So what's new for DuBlase?
So right now, we are distributing direct to consumer in 32 states. We just got approved for a big time retailer, a national retailer. So we'll be releasing that information next week or the week after, I believe. I have to talk to my publicist, but we'll be releasing that information really soon. And we're just excited. So right now we're based in Florida. We're distributing in stores, restaurants, bars in Florida, and then direct to consumer in 32 states.
So direct to consumer is, through DuBlase.com, correct?
Yep. www.DuBlase.com. And so with that, is why it's not 50 states versus 32 states. So every state has different laws. So we getting back into the laws. So some states have state stores where you have to have a distributor that's from that state. Some states require that distributor from that state can only deliver direct to consumer to their constituents of that state. So every state has different laws, and you really just have to learn the laws and really get acclimated to what's going on. But we're growing, and we're going to make that 32 states to 50 states. So that's what's new, and that's what's going on. That's what we're working on. So,
I guess the biggest thing is for a brand of whiskey, cigars, of anything of that nature. It's obviously, the goal is to get it into retail locations, and then kind of pretty much cut your ties off to direct, direct to consumer and more to B2B.
Absolutely.
So, the launching of the information that you have coming up this week or next week that you got to check with your publicist about, is going to be really, kind of instrumental to that first step to get to the B2B part.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the thing was, developing our kind of the business model. So, again, we were 2 years in, 3 years in, but everybody was hit with the pandemic, so the direct to consumer was a amazing kind of platform to allow us to brand, but also, get our brand to different consumers in different states. So it's been amazing. Like it's that platform alone, just being able to do that has been exponentially amazing for our brand. But like you said, eventually retailers, let's get into some stores, let's get into restaurants, let's make it national, let's make it international. Working on something with Puerto Rico and Colombia. So we're working on trying to get with the military. So it's there's a lot of things that kind of go into it, but we're excited. We're excited, and we're rolling. We've been getting national coverage, local and national coverage, articles and features. That's been coming in, and all we can do is just keep growing. We're excited.
Absolutely. So talking about, more pairings. We talked about, cigar pairings and what I think would be a great cigar.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think one of my favorites, and don't shoot the messenger. I'm just speaking the facts for all my viewers. I think a Palencia Hermo Fuente would go really good with it as well. I think personally that the cigar is not too robust, as well as it's not too spicy either. So I think the notes will really complement each other. And I'm actually going to do a test of that sometime this week, and I'll let you know how it goes.
I might meet you.
Speaking of pairings, right? Liquor pairs with everything, food, appetizers and all that. If you can do a perfect meal, you're obviously we're drinking DuBlase, and we want to know what would be that perfect meal that would go perfect with your whiskey.
Okay. So let's see. Meal. Are we going? It could be anything.
It's your preference. What do you think is going to be the?
Let's see. DuBlase. I mean, it pairs well with pretty much everything. So, it could be anything. So really, I'll start backwards. I'll start with dessert. So we had a mixologist come up with a few cocktails for us. She made a chocolate martini with DuBlase, right? So it can easily go with any type of dessert. It has, especially for your fall, we feature natural spices on the back. So if you like meals with or desserts with either pumpkin, cinnamon, like sweet potato pies, pound cake, something simple. I wouldn't go too rich though, maybe like your German chocolate cakes. I wouldn't go too rich, but something simple with your typical desserts, just nothing, maybe a key lime, but nothing like your German chocolate, nothing double and tripling up the sweetness. For your main course, of course, any steak will go, any salmon, any fish will go, seafood, of course. You're making me hungry, but any meal on the front end. For your appetizers, of course, you have, I enjoy a, let's see, any caprese type, your tomato based, type of meals. Calamari, mussels. It varies. Like it literally is the most versatile spirit that I've had, and I created it that way, for everybody to be able to enjoy. So, I just pick a meal almost. What's your favorite? I can tell you however you prepare it though. So if you're using a lot of salts, or are you using more herbs? Are you using seasons, or are you using onions, garlic, stuff like that? So if you're using more herb based, it's perfect. It's perfect.
I asked that question because, in the cigar world, we're a little bit complex, and we also think a little different, right?
Right.
Everything is about the enjoyment of the cigar, right?
Right.
So we don't enjoy a cigar. We don't go into a humidor and say, there's nothing in our mind that goes through when we walk in a humidor and don't go through all the checks. What did I eat? How am I feeling? How's my palate? Is it dehydrated? Is it well hydrated? Is it am I looking for something that's more of a robust flavor? And I'm again, as my lovely brother from Ireland stated, he loves one with roast beef. So let's break down roast beef a little bit. So you're talking a red meat that's going to be flavorful. Because at the end of the day, obviously you're going to go ahead and season the hell out of that thing. You're talking about something that's a little bit more juicier. So it's going to again affect your palate. So I have people all the time come in and be like, well, Jack, what's your favorite cigar? Well, it ultimately depends on the day. It depends on the time. It depends on my mood. It depends on what I'm drinking. It depends on all of that. So, in theory, to when we're talking about drinking, then obviously we're gonna in correlation already talk about what we ate. How was that meal today?
Right. Mm-hmm.
We had a what the heck? I had a salad the other night with ribeye, and kind of I had a more of a citrusy salad, and my wife had a ribeye that I ate a couple bites off of. The purpose of it is there was no way in hell I was gonna after that. Mind you, I was drinking an old fashioned as well. Gonna go and have a full body cigar. Why? Because my palate is already more on the throttle backside. The natural sugars, the bitters that goes into the old fashioned is already sweeter. So something of that would have dehydrated my palate just like that. So I know I know you're like, damn, like Jack, come on, man, like why you?
No, I mean you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
But that's like how the average consumer, that loves, what we do, thinks, and it's kind of inevitable. If you like cigars, you like whiskey and bourbon. So it's like you ultimately think about those different, those different attributes when it comes to consuming whatever that you're going to consume.
Most definitely. Yep. Agree 100%. 100%. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, if you had a salad, you have your roast beef, or you have your steak, or you have your chicken, or whatever your protein is, if it comes off a little citrusy, but then you're having your old fashioned, you're going to kind of conflict a little bit, right? So it's the same way. It's the same way with our whiskey. I mean, we have our all natural ingredients. Again, we'll have our natural spices on the back end. No film over your tongue. It's going to go down smooth. But if you're eating something that conflicts with it, of course, you may experience some stuff that you may not like. But what I can tell you, everything that I've had with it,
it's been great.
No worries.
Right.
It's been no worries so far. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So do you have a let's talk about your name. Like, where did that name come from?
Okay, so while in college, I pledged Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and on our in Greek life, we have new members come out in line. So on our line, we had 12 members. I was the number 11 of the 12 of us. So basically, in Greek life, the ace is the number 1. Me being the 11 is 2-1, so I'm the double ace. So DuBlase is actually 2 words kind of grouped together. It's double and ace. So that's where I got the name DuBlase. So it's a play on words, 2 different words into one word to make a good phrase. Yeah.
Look at that. Look, we learn something new every single day. So
do you
have
It has to mean something.
It has to. It has to be. It has to define you, and I think that's what it does. So, do you have a bottle of the whiskey on hand? Obviously, you have a bunch of them from behind.
Yeah, I have a bunch of them.
Grab one for me.
Okay. Let's see, it's closest.
So let's put it in the camera. So let's talk about the color contest. Like why the maroon, and why the bottling that you went with.
Okay, so with with whiskey. If you go down any of your packaging store, your spirit stores, your liquor stores, your grocery stores, you'll kind of see that all bottles are similar. All vodka bottles look similar. Our wine bottles look similar. Our whiskey bottles look similar. Our cognac is et cetera, right? So with me, I went with what kind of with my style. So our theme is a more of a class. We try to do like a classy, sophisticated type theme. We wear a lot of suits. We wear a lot of different custom attire. So I went with a bottle that gives you more cognac, right? You have your solid lip on here, right? You have your double base glass on the bottom. So for me, I wanted something a little bit more. It's a little different than what typical whiskeys look like. So that's one reason I went with that glass model. The label itself, I wanted to do so every kind of hint out there. So every one of our spirits that we release will have a a different color that corresponds with maybe some of the ingredients that go with it, or with a memory that's something that is associated with that particular bottle. So right here we have like a more maroon, crimson, not even say crimson, but it was more maroon color base. And it has your filigree all throughout. And it has a 12 layer or 12 prong medallion on the front that kind of corresponds with the 12 members of my line. So it's all based upon, me and what some of the interesting things that go on in my life. So when you see the bottle, when you check out the label, definitely like look at it, study it, see what you find in there. And it's almost like a little puzzle. So it means a lot to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you looking to rebrand or do any branding changes, or this is pretty much going to be what it's going to be for the long haul?
Of course. So, with any brand, you're always going to do some product development. So, even with this bottle, we're going to repackage it in the sense of the label. We're going to use a thicker label. We're going to do some embossing. We're going to do some gold foil just to kind of make it pop a little bit more. So it's going to actually be the same exact design, but we're going to really reinforce why our product is a good product and why we want our consumers to try it out and enjoy it. So we're really going to put that extra effort in there to really show our appreciation to our customers, that we are thankful for you. So all the little things matter. So that the next our next batch will have those. They do have those the new labels. The cork is the same. The tamper seal is also being updated as well. So, for us, it's always going to be product development, just so we can make sure our guests are happy and they enjoying what they're purchasing.
Absolutely. And it kind of goes. It sounds like it goes a lot into cigars, man. I would have loved to do this. I would have loved I would have loved to do this segment again with maybe a cigar manufacturer, because I think the resemblance of how you go about packaging and all of that, those different things, kind of go into how a cigar is banded. In the cigar world, without going too deep into the nerd stuff that I know in my brain about cigars, the labels that you see on a cigar was really geared towards the boost of sales, the attractiveness, as well as a more of a brand definition. So it was defining the brand, and I think packaging has everything to do with defining the brand. There's nothing in life that's considered a brand that is not defined by its brand. So when you do go into embossing and different things of that nature, it's a big deal in today's market. Like that was like right on spot when I was gonna say it. But it's huge, right? It's huge on the attractiveness. Nobody wants to drink something that looks very freaking plain. It's one that one whiskey that I jumped on a couple months ago called Blade and Bow, and I know that has nothing to do with you.
But I'm like a positive brand. I show love to all the brands out there. Hey, try mine, try yours. I'll try yours. We'll toast. I'm all about
for real. So Blade and Bow, I love their presentation. One, blue. They have a blue background, a blue and brown. So it just naturally stood out to me. But it also has a bronze key neck hanger that I thought was just freaking dope, and it was just like classy as hell.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of like you said, the presentation goes into that all in all. So
absolutely. It's a must. And again, it also tells you a lot about that company too. So it's your first is going to be, we're getting it out. Now it's like, okay, let's do some product development. Let's continue to build. Nobody's going to stay the same. Let's make it better and better and better and better and better. The recipe is going to be the same, but the production, the everything that goes into it. How can we make our product better for the consumer? Again, it's the consumer who we're catering to. You know, they actually run the business in a high level mindset. They actually run the business. So you want to cater to your consumers so that they have an enjoyable experience.
Right. Absolutely. So what's the tentative date that we can expect the 90 proof?
Ooh, can't tell you.
Come on now. Hey, I mean, can we say summer of next year, fall of 2022, spring of 23, or
I would say this. It's actually ready right now. I would say that it's actually ready right now. But when we release it, we'll let you. We'll keep you posted. You'll be the first to know.
So what it sounds like is that we need some samples so we can try to figure out a cigar that goes well with it prior to it being released. I think to me that's what it sounded like.
Now we can do that.
I think that is genius.
Yeah.
I don't see why you would say no.
You'll have the scoop. Hey, yeah.
My point.
Well, my brother, in a nice moonshine glass for you, just so it can,
Hey, or just put it in a bottle where it's unlabeled, and
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah,
I only know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
I think that process is fun though. Like,
it's fun.
we're working with some guys in Kentucky now. Because there's no secret, we're opening up another cigar lounge in summer of 2022. And I'm not going to tell you guys the specifics of it, but to say the least, we are going to have some Dapper D single barrel whiskeys coming to that location. So, you often see, sometimes they send you, little shot glasses, with numbers on it that comes from all these different barrels. And sometimes they send it to you, maybe a third of not a third is a lot, but maybe like a sixth of a way full of the bottle. That way you have enough to experience. But I think it's just like cigars. Like we've been working on our house blend for a while. And I think it's crazy for anybody to sit here and say they figured out a blend in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Man, I smoked cigars after cigar after cigar, white labels, label 1 to 29, you name it, because it's getting the perfect one. So not only is it getting the perfect one, but it's knowing what the perfect one is either got or missing, right? And I think that's the same concept when it comes to whiskeys, right? I may say, well, I love this whiskey, but I'm not gonna release it because I don't think everybody else will. I think that's blasphemy, and I think that's stupid, right? If we're looking for a product that's entertaining to everybody, we'll stay in the lab forever, because at the end of the day, you're gonna have that one person that's not gonna like it. But I think the conceptual point goes into, you need to try it with different things. You need to try it with, hors d'oeuvres, coffee, water, yada, just to see how it mixes. And I think, I'm just kind of selling my point now on why I should get samples first. Side just blew us up. So a guy sent me some excellent cigars from Bermuda. I'm interested to know how that's turned out. I was pleasantly surprised, and the only thing that let him down was the poor quality band. That's a fact. I told him if it was in a brick and mortar, a lot of people would pass by it because of the band. He agreed, invested more money into the band. Cigar selling better. Presentation is a big part of the quality, and that's hands down, right?
And that's great feedback from him. Like you said, I mean, like it was thought out, was thoughtful and respectful, and the manufacturer he took it with open arms. Sometimes we love feedback. We need it. Like I said, I'm waiting feedback just for the full, the cigar, just kind of see what the full, the ones who love full cigars, what they enjoy about it, or what they dislike, or what they like about it. So for me, it's all about that. It's all learning, because the more you learn about what others like, because of course we know we like as individuals, we do this every day, but it's for your consumer, right? So you want to be able to make something for the masses Not to where you're changing up what you like or what you don't like, but it's good to know, to keep in mind how people like what they like. Do they like this leaf or that leaf for your cigars? Do they like this type of, like it grown here at, should it be harvested at this point of the year? Just the small little things can create a great product. So
absolutely,
he's 100% right, 100% correct.
And Sai, I think that was great information. I think, especially in our game where longevity is pretty much your token into, long standing. So many people produce things not for now and not worried about then. Then is very important in any brand and any process. We had Steve Saka on a couple of weeks ago, man, and he dove one. I smoked one of my steel wells for anybody that are interested in learning more about that. I'm going to post some information on that tomorrow. But he talked about how he's blending a cigar with pipe tobaccos, which that's not known. Like, that's not something that the entire industry is just out here doing. Like, we talked to Alan Rubin last week with Alec Bradley Cigars, man, and he was talking about how some cigars, it takes him 2 years to figure out. At the end of the day, I think the biggest thing of what I'm trying to convey is it takes time, right?
Yes.
Darren didn't get here, because one day he woke up and said, I want to create a whiskey, and went from there. Like, you got to have some type of understanding of what it is that you're looking to do, some type of vision in order to get there. So,
right. And like you said, I mean, even then you have to put the time into it, because there's connoisseurs out here, and there's people who really appreciate the craft of a good cigar or a good whiskey. So to just want to do something and come up with something quick and say, hey, release it, it's you don't want to necessarily there's people who really enjoy this and really appreciate the craft. So I mean, you want to put your time in and do your research and learn as much as you can just about how the production process is done, how it's manufactured, like just all the nuances. You want to really key into it because it's important. And again, it's for your consumers. I mean, they're the ones who are going to either support you or not support you. So you have to do it. You have to do your due diligence. So you make sure you get you check all your boxes. It's so vital. It's so vital.
Absolutely. You checks and balances is essential in our processes, hands down.
Hands down.
Well, Darren, we appreciate you so much for taking this hour to come onto the show. We appreciate your knowledge. Appreciate you. Keep growing. Keep doing your thing.
Absolutely.
You have people that is supporting you, just rocking with you. So at the end of the day, what is said doesn't have to be explained. What is understood doesn't have to be explained. Excuse me. So anyway, one thing that we do on the virtual smoke deck, man, is we drop a gem. The gem can be whether it's life based, it could be business based, it could be anything that you want. You could tell a situation, you can tell a quote, whatever it is that you want to do, man. The floor is yours. You got it.
Okay, was expecting this. So if anything, I would leave with your viewers today. It's just something that I live by, and it's very simple. Small attainable goals, right? Small attainable goals. If you start with a small goal and it's obtainable, you can reach it. You build that confidence. You get your next one, next one. By the end of the month, you have created a list of goals that you've accomplished. By the end of the year, look what you accomplished. The next year, look what you accomplished. And literally, that's how I live. That's one of my simplest things I tell myself on an everyday basis. Small attainable goal. You don't have to. Rome wasn't created in one day. Again, I'm telling you, when I first kind of told you about myself, I'm an engineer. There's nothing that you can do quick. You can't build a building quick. You can't create a car quick. You got people's lives in your hands, right? Yeah. So everything has to be really thought out, but really take your time, be consistent. Don't do it for any negative reasons. but make sure you have those small obtainable goals. That'll ensure that you check off all the necessary boxes, but also you're having fun along the line. Like you're being happy. You're not going to be discouraged as much because you've had this, this enormous, gigantic goal that you're trying to reach. But hey, break it down into segments. Break it down into 4 segments and have each do one goal each quarter of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so many ways you can do it, but that's probably what I would leave with it. Whether it's your personal life, your career, whatever however you can apply it, small attainable goals.
Well, Darren, we definitely appreciate your time. You've been great, and I just want to let you know, just keep building, keep growing. The world is yours, baby. The world is yours.
I got you.
So just keep doing your damn thing, and you got my support. So,
thank you so much,
everybody, man. We appreciate y'all time, and we got to let Darren go. So, Darren, we'll see you soon, brother.
See you soon. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
One thing I love about the Smoke Deck, man, I tell y'all this every week, man. You never know what we're gonna get. You never know the different diversity in the conversation that we're gonna get. At the end of the day, you may be, looking for something that's cigar related, and you may get whiskey related. At the end of the day, that's why I love our platform, because we're never gonna have just a basic conversation that's gonna keep you here, man. It's always gonna be deep conversation, and that's what we do, man. So if you're new to the channel, man, go ahead. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and like and follow the Virtual Smoke Deck Live. Go ahead and like and follow DapperDCigars.com. Dapper D's on Facebook and Instagram. And then if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe, like, and smash on that comment box, man. We definitely appreciate you guys. If you're looking for any cigar needs or wants, go ahead and check us out at DapperDCigars.com. Or if you're in the Jacksonville area, excuse me, that was a big burp. I'm sorry. If you're in the Jacksonville area, man, go ahead and check us out. 725 Cigar Marks Drive. Again, we have Ashton Month coming up. We have a couple of seats left for our training, our cigar training class, where it's $40. You get 5 Ashton products, a cutter and lighter, and it's just going to be a great time. And then right after that, you're going to get 20% off on boxes. So it's going to be an amazing time. So if you guys are not locked in on that, man, get locked in. The link will be on my Instagram, and it's also on Dapper D Cigars on Facebook under the event column, where you'll be able to, buy your ticket and go and do all that good stuff. So, hey, man, great listening to Darren's take and experience in whiskey, man. Hey, Si, we appreciate you so much, man. Ireland's in the building. Stand up, man. Speaking of standing up, next week we have an amazing guest, and yes, damn it, we are killing up this year. We have Rocky Patel from Rocky Patel Cigars. Everybody knows Rocky. If you know Rocky, if you don't know Rocky, then fucking go Google him. Rocky Patel from Rocky Patel Cigars coming in to the segment next week on 26th, starting at 7. So get locked in. Go follow us on our social media platforms. With that being said, I'm Jack the Cigar Enthusiast, and I appreciate you guys coming out and enjoying your time with us, but I'm gone.